Okay. The Los Angeles Rams have made no secret of their ambivalence at best toward franchise quarterback Jared Goff. It's therefore no surprise that it's now being reported that the Rams will have an open quarterback competition, because of course they will. And one of the reasons Jared Goff will be part of the competition, they can't get rid of him.
Right.
We've been saying that all month. They can't.
No.
They owe him $43 million guaranteed over the next 2 years. The cap hit for cutting him would be all of that plus another $22 million. Trading him is $22 million. Oh, and no one's trading for Jared Goff. So it's Jared Goff and whoever else they bring in. They've added Duck Hodges recently. And frankly, the way Jared Goff's been playing lately, Jared Goff, Duck Hodges, I don't know. So, Chris, hey, it's amazing how quickly this is falling apart. 2 years. 2 years is not 2 years like that.
Right.
Super Bowl quarterback. Brandon Cooks open in the end zone.
Yeah.
Was that the moment? But they still paid him after that, though. That's what is astounding to me.
Yeah.
They paid him all that money.
Yeah, negotiated
against
themselves.
2 seasons later, they're done with him.
Right. It is amazing. It's amazing, too, I think, just from the standpoint of where they never really wavered the first few years of even anything negative towards Jared Goff. He could have a bad game, and Sean McVay would still sit there with a straight face and tell you it was pretty good, and we're all behind Jared and all those things, right? He never wavered. But something at the end of this year finally was like, enough is enough. We can't just roll out the red carpet because we've given him a contract and he's our quarterback. We can't just keep letting him have a free pass of, oh, you play average and it's okay, and we'll talk kindly to the media and everybody else about you. They've let it be known. You're right. They have not they haven't come out and said it, but they haven't minced words to let you know that they're not happy and that there's an issue there. And now, we hear a report finally confirm that, hey, it's going to be a competition. What I want to know, Mike, is this going to be him versus Wolford, or is it going to be something where they look, to bring in a guy too? Like, I don't know. Just for instance, a Jacoby Brissett, or just some guy out there who we know is, a starter, borderline backup starter type of guy, right? That might be out there on the market this year. I'm not saying definitively him. I'm just saying that type of scenario. Will they bring somebody in like that, or are they just going to let these two go at it?
Well, I'm going to say this next thing, knowing full well there's a chance we maybe interview him next week, although it probably won't be me. I could help broker the deal for Kirk Cousins to L.A. if Sean McVay's interested in a reunion with the former Washington quarterback. And I know that McVay has raved privately about Kirk Cousins.
Yes,
So the cap, you combine the cap charge for Cousins and the money you're going to have to eat, whether he's on the roster or not for Goff, and it just isn't going to happen. And I like to think the Vikings wouldn't do a Cousins for Goff trade straight up. Here's my explanation for why McVay was so blindly over-the-top supportive and loyal. And a head coach taught me this lesson a few years ago. You've got two types of guys who play quarterback, the natural leaders and the guys who need help.
Yeah.
The natural leaders, they just take over the team. The guys who aren't, like Goff, and a lot of quarterbacks aren't natural leaders, it's incumbent on the team and the coach to be the one who is the consummate and nonstop unconditional cheerleader, so everyone in the organization knows he's the guy. So what's happened over the course of the last 2 seasons, either the locker room is starting to question the sanity of Sean McVay, or Jared Goff isn't working hard enough, that they think Jared Goff isn't doing what he needs to do, that he's behind the scenes, not in his playbook enough, not showing up early enough, not staying late enough. Because you can excuse poor performance if there's effort there. But if there's poor performance and you see signs of lack of effort, that's when I think a coach is going to turn on a guy. So I suspect something like that has happened. And they've got no interest in saying that if they hold out hope for trading him. But it could be once he got that second contract. The first contract wasn't true generational life-changing money. The second one is. And maybe now that he's gotten that, maybe he's got a little complacent. And maybe they're just done with trying to get him to take it as seriously as they need him to take it.
I don't doubt any of that. I don't know. Complacency, comfort, when the coach never brings anybody in to compete with you, and you got a coach who's always saying positive things about you, and you can do no wrong even when you maybe do wrong. I mean, I think natural human emotions are, we talk about, you got to have a little fire under your butt. That's part of being a head coach. It's one thing with John Gruden. Hey, you say what you want. When he brought in other quarterbacks and things like that, yeah, he was pushing me. But then there was the other quarterback, too, that, well, you brought him in. He seems like he kind of likes him. I better get working. I better doing those things. He never let me feel comfortable that way. And I feel like they let Jared Goff feel comfortable and made him feel like you're almost like Patrick Mahomes. Like that's how I felt like they've treated him almost until just this past year. And then the other thing, Mike, that I think, and you kind of brought it up, to where you got to be careful of giving the guy a free pass all the time. Because, in the locker room, right, this kind of goes back to, like, oddly enough, one of Jalen Ramsey's old teammates and the Blake Bortles thing or the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you're going to let one guy off the hook all the time and yet the other 52 are going to be accountable to everything they do and every mistake and all of that, but then this one guy gets off the hook, you'll lose the locker room where they're just going to be like, what? I don't understand. He never coaches him. He's the reason we lost, and there's nothing negative said. We don't even say anything in the coaches, in the team meeting. Nothing's ever even addressed with it. And I think that's where it's got to be, you got to be a little careful as an organization of that as well.
And Blake Bortles would go on to back up Jared Goff for a year before it became John Wolford, the guy that it sure seemed like Sean McVay wanted to be the starter in the divisional round game against the Packers a week after Wolford started. And Goff was a little salty because he's saying, hey, my thumb's fine. I can play. This may be the start of the process of getting him to wake up, bring in competition,
Definitely.
get him to wake up.
Right.
You're stuck with him. They know they're stuck with him, but they're sending out these messages that are very, very ominous and negative, and they're trying to coach Goff publicly in a way that will coax better performance out of him. And you mentioned Mahomes. He outdueled Mahomes in that game that was supposed to be in Mexico City, that Monday night game for the ages from 2018. That was not that long ago in the grand scheme of things. But he had Todd Gurley at the time, and it was just a different vibe. It was a different sense. It was a different offense, and Goff was a different quarterback then.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. Since he's gotten paid, he's become a different guy.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.